I was working as a mental health nurse, and I basically had a breakdown and I had to leave my job and I was really unwell. And he bought me a bike randomly, just because he knows I love being outside. I used to run a lot more, and he just thought it'd like get me out and get me in the countryside and give me a distraction. And it really did. Like, I don't know where I'd be without it, to be honest. I had an eating disorder. And anyone that's had an eating disorder or knows what one is like is that it takes a lot of mental determination to get better, to get back to a healthy weight, to get to a point where you can eat without feeling guilty. And it takes a lot of hard work. And I think getting through that and getting better from that, and also getting through the times of like, after I left my job, I went really, really low to a point where I didn't want to be here anymore, and had like plans not to be here and things like that. But I think the fact I got through that and got better and I got a healthy weight and have a period again, and I can eat at cafes without crying, and I do want to be here. Getting through that took so much mental determination and was so hard that nothing ever on the bike is as hard as that. It is probably one of my biggest fears is on around the world is one of us getting hit by a car. It's weird. I don't actually worry about myself getting hit. I'm more worried about you getting hit.
Yeah. You always say that if something happens to me, that's your biggest worry. But
yeah, I'm
not as bad. I don't really worry about it too much, to be honest.
So you're saying there's a loving wife, but not a loving husband?
Yeah, he's not about me getting hit.
It's what it is.
A married couple doing these challenges, because I think that'd be quite interesting to our listeners. I know that from my own perspective, I think that might be a bit of a struggle in my married relationship. How's that going to work for you guys?
There's never a long ride without some sort of tiff at some point. I think that's normal.
Yeah, we just tend to ride off from each other, to be honest.
Yeah. The problem is, I used to be, if we had like a little tiff on the bike, I used to be able to ride off from Kyle for a bit, but now he's stronger than me, so I can try and ride off, but he can just stick on my back wheel, and it's even more annoying.
So for our listeners, can you tell us what's the challenge you're about to undertake, and when are you about to undertake it?
We're going to be cycling around the world to try and break the world record for the fastest couple. So we're starting 3 weeks today on the 1st of May.
Welcome to the very first episode of Where We Ride, a podcast powered by Love Velo and hosted by me, Lee Bibbering, and my co-host, Georgia Bullard. Today, we've got Amy and Carl Hudson joining us. Now, Amy and Carl's story is truly amazing. They're about to undertake a world record challenge, riding around the world together as a married couple. They embark in just a week's time. So they're giving up their time with only a week before they depart. Amy and Kyle, thanks so much for joining us. We cannot wait to hear your story, and we're excited to start following your adventure.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No, absolute pleasure. Georgia and I we've been talking off air, and we've been talking for a while now about having you guys on. We're kind of fascinated by the married couple dynamic, the rides you've already done, and then what you're about to do. But before we get on to that, we're quite interested in how you got into cycling, because Kyle, I know you said on a podcast that never again, which was interesting. Yeah. And Amy, I think you've only been cycling really since about COVID, or is that not right?
Yeah, I started cycling in 2021.
You first started cycling on your dad's Doors hybrid, is that right?
Well, yeah, kind of. I used it when I was hit by a car as a temporary bike.
Yeah. Oh, and you did like a crazy long ride or something?
Yeah, I did. On the Doors, I've done 200Ks and things on the Doors Galaxy. That was when
that's crazy.
I got by a car. I didn't have a bike, so I just borrowed his bike while we were sorting out a new one. But yeah, I quite like the Doors.
In fact, she was faster than me on my first ever 200K, and she was on the Doors and I was on a carbon bike.
Well, what's the story behind getting hit by the car?
I've been hit by a car twice, actually. I've not got much luck. I was coming around a roundabout and a car just went straight into me, basically, and I went over the windscreen into the road, and yeah.
Were you okay?
Yeah, I wasn't I wasn't okay, but I was lucky that I just had concussion, and I was back riding within 6 months after.
Has it sort of affected you a little bit long term? Are you more conscious of it?
I think after the first time, I wasn't really affected. I kind of just was so determined to get back on the bike, because I got hit in the January and we'd booked to do Land's End John O'Groats in the May. So I was just I just really was focused on getting back on. I want to do Land's End John O'Groats, and I was just so happy to be able to get back on my bike again. I didn't have the fear really. I don't know why, I just didn't. I just wanted to be back on my bike. But then I got hit again a year later. Again, not my fault. I was just coming up to a junction. I was at a standstill at a T-junction, waiting to turn right, and a car came from my left, into the T-junction and just went on the wrong side of the road and hit into me at a standstill. So after that, I was more nervous because I was like, it really just highlighted to me that we have no control over what the cars are doing. Like that, there was nothing I could do in that one. Well, in both of them really. But yeah, I think it kind of, once you've been hit twice, it does knock you a bit. But yeah, I just kind of I try not to think about it because I think there's risk in everything you do in life.
Is that something that concerns you for your upcoming challenge, or do you, as you say, do you kind of try and put that out of your head?
It is probably one of my biggest fears is on around the world is one of us getting hit by a car. It's weird. I don't actually worry about myself getting hit. I'm more worried about you getting hit.
Yeah. Yeah, you always say that if something happens to me, that's your biggest worry. But
yeah,
I'm not as bad. I don't really worry about it too much, to be honest.
So you're saying there's a loving wife, but not a loving husband?
Yeah, he's obviously not me getting it.
It's what it is.
So can you talk to us through that dynamic of a married couple doing these challenges? Because I think that'd be quite interesting to our listeners. I know that from my own perspective, I think that might be a bit of a struggle in my married relationship. How's that going to work for you guys?
Yeah, I think there's never a long ride without some sort of tiff at some point. I think that's normal.
Yeah, we just tend to ride off from each other, to be honest.
Yeah. The problem is, I used to be, if we had like a little tiff on the bike, I used to be able to ride off from Kyle for a bit. But now he's stronger than me, so I can try and ride off, but he can just stick on my back wheel, and it's even more annoying. He can ride off from me, but we don't do that now. I think most of the time we do get on really well. We just love spending time together, and we do have a relationship where we can just ride in silence for an hour because sometimes you need that. Like, you're not going to be talking all the time. Most of the time, we're probably not actually talking. Yeah. A lot of the time, we are just riding, looking around in silence. But it's just so nice having the experiences together.
I actually think it's better because loads of people ask the same question, but I actually think it's better as a married couple as opposed to a friend.
Yeah.
Because at least with a married couple, you're very comfortable with each other. You know that you can just shut off. You don't need to talk.
Yeah.
As well as with a friend, you feel more obliged to sort of be like, I need to talk all the time, or encourage you more, and not show your bad sides, as well as we've seen each other's bad sides.
We've seen each other's really bad sides. So I think, yeah, because we're just so comfortable with each other, you can be completely 100% honest with how you're feeling. Like, I'm not worried to say to Kyle, I'm really, really struggling, we need to stop, or like, I'm just not in the mood to talk right now, let's just not talk. Whereas I think if you're with a friend, it's harder to do that. So I think, yeah, it is just really nice. But we also always like have this thing of like, yes, it's okay to have a disagreement, but we just forget about it. Like, let ourselves cool off, whatever it's about. Normally it's about we've gone the wrong way and we're really tired and whose fault is it, or something like that. But we always give each other like time to just ride in silence for a bit, and then we just laugh about it after, basically. Just be like, right, let's just say sorry, move on. And we normally make a joke out of it, like.
I imagine that's the only way you can do it, because if you're going to be with each other 24 hours a day, you can't hold grudges. Yeah. Especially if you're both the same speed and you're riding at the same pace.
Yeah, exactly. So we just make a joke of it, and we normally laugh about, oh, remember when you did that and you stormed off. It's fun.
Before we talk about the challenge that you're about to undertake, you did a ride from Italy to the UK. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, so I started cycling in lockdown 2021. Kyle actually bought me my first bike, which was a little Carrera from Halfords. We call it little because it was a bit too small for me. And the reason he bought me that bike was because I was really struggling with my mental health. So I was working as a mental health nurse, and I basically had a breakdown and I had to leave my job and I was really unwell. And he bought me a bike randomly, just because he knows I love being outside. I used to run a lot more, and he just thought it'd like get me out and get me in the countryside and give me a distraction. And it really did. Like, I don't know where I'd be without it, to be honest. So when I got better and I felt like happier again myself, we wanted to do something to give something back to like mental health charities. And obviously, like, we got into long distance cycling and endurance, and very grateful to be sponsored by Pinarello, who are based in Italy. So we wanted to do a challenge to raise money for a charity, and we thought, well, let's ride from where our bikes are from in Italy back to the Pinarello store in London, and then back from there back to Derby to home. So that's where the idea sort of came from. We wanted to do something big, and we wanted to give back to charity, and we wanted to also, we're so grateful for Pinarello, so we wanted to do something that involved them as well. And yeah, it was 2,000 kilometres in 8 days. So it was 250 kilometres a day.
And this was something you did together, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because previously, Amy, I followed you when you were doing your Tour de France route, which again seemed epic. But you did that solo. How come, Kyle, you didn't do that one with Amy? Well, I suppose you did because you were the support van, as I remember.
And you managed to do a Mont Ventoux together as well, I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
We actually did those big mountains together.
Yeah.
But the decision on that was basically some of these events Amy needs to put on. And like, if we both rode that, you wouldn't be getting like the support that you need. So it just wouldn't make it very feasible. And I was willing to just, give up my time cycling so she could ride that and raise more money. And no other woman had done it before. So I thought, I've really got to get behind this. So, yeah.
That you were the first lady to ever do all 21 stages.
And the transfers in between, yeah.
And the transfers in between. That's dedication.
Yeah, people have done the stages before, but not the stages and the transfers in between. Like men have done it.
Right.
So that was kind of one of the reasons as well. It was like, well, I want to be a woman, show that a woman can do it. Because it always feels like, not always, but you often see like the male cyclist doing it and the woman's at home or whatever, this like stereotypical thing. And it's like, well, actually, I'm a woman and I'm doing it and my husband's supporting me to do it. And like, it's okay to do that way around as well. So yeah, I'm very grateful that Kyle.
So we sort of wanted to reverse that, didn't we? And just, Amy was the one who struggled. So I wanted to support that and show that she was mentally strong and capable of anything she wanted to do, basically.
When you talk about mentally strong, is that something that you've kind of had a real focus on? I mean, I don't want to pry too much, but you talked about having a tough time during or post-COVID. Is that something that's kind of the forefront of why you're doing these kind of challenges?
Yeah, I think we've both been through struggles, haven't we? I mean, mine, you can talk about yours after if you want. You don't have to.
Don't tend to.
But, but mine obviously is like, I've struggled with my mental health in terms of had an eating disorder. And anyone that's had an eating disorder or knows what one is like is that it takes a lot of mental determination to get better, to get back to a healthy weight, to get to a point where you can eat without feeling guilty. And it takes a lot of hard work. And I think getting through that and getting better from that, and also getting through the times of like after I left my job, I went really, really low to a point where I didn't want to be here anymore, and had like plans not to be here and things like that. But I think the fact I got through that and got better and I got a healthy weight and have a period again and I can eat at cafes without crying and I do want to be here, getting through that took so much mental determination and was so hard that nothing ever on the bike is as hard as that. And I think if you've been through a mental illness or even if you've supported someone through one, it's so hard, but it makes you such a strong person. Like, I used to feel like I was a weak person because I struggled with my mental health. But now I see it as actually like the people that struggle are the strongest people because every day they're basically working so hard to be here and to be happy. So I think on the bike, that's why I can ride far and not give up, because I always have that. Like, I'm just so grateful for life now because I enjoy it. And nothing's ever going to be as hard as what I went through in my head back in lockdown. I have that determination.
It's really interesting you say that because we recently interviewed, I don't know if you know Sarah Ruggins, who is about to take on One Way North. What a woman! She was incredible. But she
had similar, didn't she?
She had a very, very similar kind of story, and she was talking about how the paralysis that she'd suffered meant that not even just the paralysis, the recovery meant that nothing can be as hard again. So I'll just keep going, and became very, very mentally strong because of the lows that she'd been through in her early life. I guess it's kind of as you say, a similar thing for you.
Yeah, she's an inspiration for me. Yeah, it's similar. I've listened to her speak before, and it does really resonate. And I think, Kyle, you're similar, aren't you? I've never met someone. I think we're both so determined. That's why we can lock heads quite easily sometimes. But it does mean also that we're both good at riding together because we're both so determined. But yours comes from a different place.
Yeah, so we did like a talk before, and I spoke about it briefly before, that we've both been through struggles. Mine being completely different was a poor childhood, basically, involving a lot of like domestic abuse, drugs, that sort of thing. And that, I don't look at that in a bad way. I sort of use that as a bit of a fuel. And I think that's created like a really strong mentality in terms of like, we've both struggled through very different things, but it does make you like very resilient. And also it makes you very competitive. So we sort of brush off.
Yeah.
So we're both like mentally strong.
Yeah.
So like it drives us forward, but yeah.
And you both put sort of finding cycling and bikes down to like a big part of your recovery?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think you're more of a happier person since the bike.
Yeah, I think deep down, what I didn't realise is during the time of Amy having a breakdown and whatnot, it was sort of all the focus was on Amy, and I just wanted to be strong and just make sure that I didn't show any signs of weakness and made sure she got better. But then a year or so after, when I started cycling, I didn't realise how much the bike was helping me. So like it obviously helped me to open up and be a little bit more happy and sort of, yeah. So it definitely played a part in that as well.
It's easy to talk when you're on the bike, isn't it? Like it's easy to, when you're on the bike, it's easy to talk about hard things.
I think it brought us closer as well, like talking.
It's nice to have company on the bike. That's a really nice element of it, and being able to talk. But it's also the opposite side of it. It's nice to have solo time on the bike too.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, when I did Tour de France, I was on my own pretty much. Like, 10% of the time someone was riding with me, but 90% of the time I was on my own. Kyle wasn't following me directly behind me, but he would meet me 60 miles in, and then he'd meet me another 4 hours later. So all that time I'd just be on my own. And it's like you just have that space on your own. There's nothing else like it. Like your mind just goes to what I don't even know where your mind goes. It just kind of goes, and you just like free flowing thinking, and random ideas come into your head, and it's just such a nice state to be in. Obviously, if you're pushing up a hill, maybe it's not as nice. But
you're counting down the
those rides where you're just on your own and you can just let your mind wander. And
so you don't find that isolating? You find that quite freeing, do you?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested by that because obviously you're going to be doing something that's you're doing it together. So will you miss that element of it, or does that kind of get outweighed by the fact that you're doing this challenge together?
It's weird actually, because I'm a little bit the same. Like when I train on my own.
Right.
Or like we do long rides together, but mostly I go out and train on my own because I find that the best way in my own headspace. But when we're together, we just bounce off each other as well.
Yeah.
And I think I will slightly miss that element of sometimes it's nice just to have that bit of isolated time, but we do have those moments where we sort of just don't talk, don't we? So
yeah,
and just enjoy what's around us. So you don't always feel like you're restricting each other.
Yeah, and I think on a ride as big as this, like I prefer to be with Kyle.
Yeah,
like I think it's okay to do solo rides for a week or a few weeks. Like when I did Tour de France, I wasn't completely on my own. Kyle was there in the day. If I was just on my own, I think I would have got lonely. And I think also like gives you that extra bit of security knowing someone's with you, not on your own. And you can like Kyle said, you bounce off each other, you pick each other up when one of you's down, you get through the hard bits together. I wouldn't want to do it on my own. I'd want to be with you doing it, definitely. I think there's going to be hard times where we need our own space. I think, to be fair though, we are together 24 hours a day at the minute and we're getting on fine. So
But you guys said like when you're cycling, you're quite good at knowing like, we can ride in silence for a bit and just have your own time. So I guess that helps. You're well trained in riding together. Do you do a lot of training together now, or what sort of percentage is together or solo?
Yeah.
We've done a lot of long rides together.
I say 80% together, 20% solo. So we both have like interval sessions that we do on the turbo indoor. They're separate just because our powers are different as well. And obviously don't really want to do intervals together because it's probably going to end up with a crash.
So for our listeners, can you tell us what's the challenge you're about to undertake and when are you about to undertake it?
We're going to be cycling around the world to try and break the world record for the fastest couple. So we're starting 3 weeks today on the 1st of May. And yeah, we're doing it with Guinness World Records and the World Ultra Cycling Association.
And what's the time to beat? If it's a world record, you must have a time in your sights.
Yeah, so the record's 205 days, but we want to do 150 days. So
that's a big. That's not just beating it. That's really
that's destroying the record.
That's really Goodness me. So will you have somebody from Guinness World Records with you the whole time? Or?
No. So it's they actually don't differentiate in Guinness between supported and self-supported. They do in the World Ultra Distance Association, but because of how long the record is, we basically have to have like witnesses at certain points around the world. So, and we also have like a live tracker. We have to submit our heart rate, power, GPS every night.
So you can't give him you can't give him the Uber receipts or anything.
No. You have to keep all our plane receipts and things like that as well. Though there's a lot of stuff
a lot of evidence you have to submit.
Yeah.
And did you say you have to sort of get witnesses at certain sections to ensure that you've ridden a particular distance? How does that work?
we have to take like a little logbook each with us, and we have to get a witness to sign off when we start, when we've seen us start, seen us finish, and at certain points around the world.
The idea of the witness at certain points is more to prove that you've been at a certain place.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, you have to do start at the end of the day, like photos and videos, as well as having a witness sign say you've been there.
Yeah, we have to do a GPS time-stamped photo and video every day.
Wow.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of sort of things you have to go through. Sort of, have you got like a list of to make sure that you don't forget anything each day and stay on top of that?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like power and heart rate. I think you can get away with just one or the other. So, because I'm thinking if our power pedals die and then we don't have a spare battery, but yeah.
I think it's the admin that would scare me, not the riding.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing, really.
It's the logistics. It's actually the worst. The riding's one thing that's going to be hard. We have to average 220 kilometres a day.
Wow.
If we want to hit our target.
Every single day?
Yeah. We've said we'll be happy with 180 days or under, but obviously we both have the 150 in our head. But as well, it's just what happens on the road. You don't know what could happen, and our safety is going to be the priority.
Well, for the 10 minutes we've been talking, it sounds like you're two very determined people. I can imagine that 180 is, that's what I'd like to hit, but I know 150 is in my mind.
To be honest, I've put the 180 out of my head.
There we go.
Sure. She keeps mentioning 180. I'm just like, I don't think of that number.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more of the worrier, the planner, the thinking of all the potential things that could go wrong in the relationship, and Kyle's more of the laid back. It'll be okay.
Rigid.
Yeah,
you need to have that balance. Yeah. It's the yin and yang, isn't it?
Because I'm just thinking 150 days is all good, but if there's a tornado, if there's something could put us back a week, and things like that, you just don't know. Like with everything that's going on in the world at the minute, you just don't know. So the main thing is that we're safe, because I'd rather come back alive 20 days later than not. So. Yeah.
And your route planning, how did you sort of sit down and think, okay, what's the best way to plan this?
That was hard. So I've actually planned the route, which is kind of like, if anything goes wrong in the route, I'm getting the blame.
Your head's on the chopping block here, yeah.
So basically it was a case of like sitting down, looking at people that have done this before, looking at their routes, thinking what we like about it, what we don't like about it. And then just basically just planning from there. I mean, we have to head east. We have to hit 2 antipodal points, so 2 opposite sides of the world, which is in New Zealand, in Wellington, and in a little town called Aliejos near Madrid in Spain. So it's like the 2 opposite sides of the earth. So we have to hit those points. But other than that, you've pretty much got a free reign. So yeah, it was quite hard, but a lot of tedious planning it on the Garmin app, running it through Raba GPS to check for any gravel, using Google Earth, dropping the man in, checking the roads. But
and what's the route? The route you're heading. Sorry, you said you're heading east and you're going through like France, Benelux, and then how do you get to? I mean, how do you get to New Zealand from there?
Yeah, so we end up in Istanbul, right? From Derby, so that's our first point. We fly from there to Bangkok. Then we do Bangkok to Singapore, and then we fly from there to Australia. Then we do Perth to Brisbane. From there we do New Zealand. Then from Auckland we fly to Alaska. Then we do Alaska, America. We go back up into Canada again. So obviously Canada, then America, back up into Canada. Then we end up in Halifax, and we fly from there to Lisbon in Portugal. And then we do Portugal, Spain, France, and back. Wow. So yeah, we can do Europe.
What a journey! What a journey that sounds.
The nice thing is that there was a bit of a template as well, like the year before, because obviously Leo Wilcox had done the women's solo record, and I was quite against some of the route if it was going to be as people have done it before. But you had a talk with Mark Beaumont as well, didn't you? And he sort of said like that's probably the best approach to take, because if you don't take a similar sort of route, one, you can't do a lot of the Middle East anyway.
Yeah.
But if you don't take a similar sort of route, then you're not going to be able to go as quick and that sort of thing. So it was nice because you sort of had a bit of a template there already as well.
When you say you can't go as when you say you can't go as quick, is the route geared towards speed? Is there if you did another route, would you be slower?
Yeah.
And safety.
Yeah, the route's geared towards flat as possible, as fast as possible. If I was doing it for fun and we had as much time as we wanted, I'd put in like the Alps, the Pyrenees, I'd go up Stelvio, like all the climbs I want to do. I'd probably like make the route longer, to be honest, and just probably go in India and do loads more. But because this is also that we want to get the world record, we want to be as fast and as efficient as possible. It is around, the fastest route, basically.
Obviously, it is the fastest, but there must be some points you're really looking forward to. Where are you sort of most excited about hitting?
I'm really excited for Canada because I've never been to any of the countries that we're going to.
Oh, that's quite good.
Yeah. Apart from, I've been to America once to see my sister. She was at uni in Boston, but we're not going there. So I've never been to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Alaska, all of these countries. So I'm really excited for all of it, to be honest. Canada, I just think it's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah. Especially that time of year as well. It's going to be wonderful when you're due to hit.
Originally, we were going to go to Georgia, but obviously we've changed routes slightly because of everything that's happened.
Yeah.
So that's why we had in the Bangkok to Singapore leg. And I'm actually really happy we've done that, because originally we were going to go all the way across Turkey to Georgia. And that was a section that I wasn't particularly looking forward to. Whereas the Bangkok to Singapore is going to be a lot more, I think it's just so different. Like having that Asian, it's just going to feel so different to everything else.
And why were you not keen to do the section that you've now had to cut out? Was that just from a kind of a fear perspective or distance? What was that?
Yeah, everything that I heard about Turkey and Georgia is there's a lot of, especially in Turkey, there's a lot of busy roads that we were going to be going on where it feels a little bit unsafe. And the biggest threat being like stray dogs. They have one of the biggest stray dog population in the world, as well as Georgia. And you hear all these stories about them chasing cyclists, and then you've got motorway with trucks coming past you.
Yeah, that doesn't sound so fun,
yeah,
does
you
it?
don't want that on.
One person, it was like, I really enjoyed Turkey,
Yeah, I think there's obviously is beautiful parts and nice places to ride in those countries. But from what we heard, I was kind of relieved when we decided not to do that bit. Yeah. Someone told me that, I was going down a motorway. I had lorries going past me on one side and dogs chasing me on the other.
Oh my goodness.
That's not for me.
That's not for me.
No.
I think somewhere nice in Bangkok, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although now I'm most nervous. I'm actually most nervous about Bangkok to Singapore, to be honest, because it's going to be so hot and humid.
Right. When do you get to Bangkok?
End of May.
Okay.
It is their rainy season, so I just hope it rains every day because then it won't be as hot. But we'll see. I'm not very good in the heat. I'm really bad in the heat, so I'm really worried about that. But we've kind of said if I'm struggling, we're just going to ride in the night and sleep in the day.
Oh, is that the plan?
Oh. Have you got some buffer, sort of? I know your goal is obviously 115. You've got your schedule. Have you allowed for some buffer, for a shorter day if need be and a day off or whatever?
Yeah, we have. I've got a massive spreadsheet of what we do each day. And we've got days planned in before and after flights just to give us that buffer. We've got a few, one rest day planned in the middle of Australia randomly, just in case we need it, but we don't have to take it. And then we've got some buffer for some extra rest days if we need them. So, we're not going to kill ourselves. That's the main, we need to, it's sometimes more beneficial to take a day off and then you'll be able to ride the next day. But I know what we're both like, and we probably won't take one unless we really need it.
The more leading up to it as well, I just keep reading books and keep listening to podcasts and learning from ultra endurance cyclists that have obviously done amazing things. And the bits that I just keep taking away is riding fast all day is not actually going to make you quicker. It's that time after the bike or making sure you're sleeping well. Yeah. So when people say you're going to be sleeping out and stuff or B&Bs, the aim is really to be your hotels and B&Bs just to make sure the recovery is so good. And that will actually make us faster in the long run.
That makes total sense. It's half the battle is obviously going to be the recovery to ensure if you're doing this back to back to back to back for 150 to 180 days, it's all about the recovery, I presume, every night.
Yeah, recovery is our main priority. We've both been really going to be really strict with the first priority when we get in is shower and eat every day. We don't go on Strava, start uploading all this stuff because that's what we always do normally. You spend half an hour sat on your phone looking at your stats. We're not doing that. We're literally getting in. The Garmin doesn't get synced to our phone until after we've had a shower and eaten, because it's just you're going down a rabbit hole of sitting on your phone looking at everything. And then stretch is going to be we're going to force each other to do it every night, 10 minutes minimum stretching, and then we can massage each other's legs and whatever, because we have sports massages quite a lot and we know some techniques that have given us. So
that's quite handy then that you can use that.
Because obviously we don't have a physio, we don't have a sports massage person, so we're going to do that. And then sleep is just the key. Sleep, get to bed as early as we can. Yeah. And then make sure our morning routine, like get that quite nailed down to like get up, eat straight away. But before we go to sleep, we have our bikes repacked and ready.
Yep.
So that in the morning, we're not thinking we have our kit laid out, our bikes are all sealed up and ready. We get up, we eat, we go. Like we just don't mess around in the morning.
You don't want to lose time. Yeah, you don't want to have breakfast, lose time, and then then you're stressed for the rest of the day. I can imagine you just want to get moving.
Yeah, he's grumpy in the morning. So.
It needs to be packed and ready to go. I'll have a coffee and we'll just go.
Just move.
Yeah.
I can ask you, you talked about the stray dogs, Carl. Is there anything else that really kind of scares you about the challenge? Because there are things that are going through my mind. I'm completely phobic of snakes, and that would be all I'd be thinking about if I was on the ride. Are there any other things that you're worried about?
I mean, I think in the back of my mind, you always have these things that could go wrong. But I've always had the outlook, no matter what I've done, is like you just go with it.
Okay.
Like, everything's got a solution. Let's just crack on, and then if you come to a problem, then yeah. But like snakes and spiders, I'm petrified of.
Right.
So like initially when we thought about it, I was like, Australia, no way. Not going anywhere near that. But then more people spoke to was like, you won't see any anyway because you're just not in there in that time of year. So like bears are obviously a bit of a concern because apparently where we're going it is like you will see a lot of bears.
In Canada, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like, things like and stuff. But I think for me, I've said it from the start, like as soon as I get to Istanbul and I fly to Bangkok, I think I'll be relaxed.
Yeah.
Because they're stray dogs, that really does worry me.
You're most worried about the stray dogs, I think, aren't you?
Yeah. So I think if I can get to that point, I think I'll just really relax after that.
I'm worried about the stray dogs too, but we do have some strategies of we Googled, you can get this like high-pitched sound thing for dogs. You know,
That's
like
a good idea. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so we've got one of them and you just press it and it emits like a really high-pitched sound that dogs don't like and it like stuns them and it should give you enough time
We're taking a few things, aren't we?
Get away.
Like an air horn as well. Like.
An air horn?
That sounds like a kind of a problem-solving type thing. Are you guys problem solvers? Are you comfortable doing that on the bike day by day?
Yeah. I think we've kind of spoken about all the things that could go wrong and what we'd do in those situations. So we kind of have like a little bit of like a game plan going in, but we're quite good at thinking on our feet and we are quite sensible really. Like we're not going to be silly. Like when we did a recce ride in, when was it, October? And it was awful. We rode from here in Derby to Czech Republic to Prague. We had the most awful weather. It rained literally.
A storm hit.
Yeah. It was called Storm Amy, quite ironically. Yeah. But we purposely made it harder than what it would be around the world for that short amount of time of doing. We did a 200-mile day and a 195-mile day back to back. And the other days were all about 150 miles. So it's quite high mileage. And the 200-mile day followed by the 195-mile day was torrential rain and headwind all day. And it was just awful. It was so horrible. And the day after that, we had 150 miles. And obviously, we were both just so like tired at the end of that. And we got near the end of that day. We had an awful day again because it was raining. Our route kept taking us on gravel. Kyle got 2 punctures. His hands were so cold. He was like struggling to do it.
I couldn't take the tire off. My hands got like cold.
Yeah, there was road closures. So we basically ended up, it was getting really late, not really late, but it was starting to get dark and we still had 30 miles left. And the last 30 miles was like over some mountains.
Into the Czech Republic.
Not mountains, but they were going up high basically. And we thought if we go up there now and we get another puncture or something goes wrong and there's nothing nearby and it's cold, it's not worth the risk. So we did end up reluctantly cutting the day short and stopping early and doing more the next day. So we do kind of like, you know,
you have to make decisions on the fly.
I imagine you have to be adaptable. There's no way you're going to do 150 days without something going wrong. I hope you don't. I hope everything goes perfectly, but it's unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah. Something's definitely going to go wrong at some point.
I mean, I'm a builder by trade, so problem solving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're just a few weeks out of starting. What sort of are the next couple of weeks going to look like getting ready?
Yeah, well, I've just done a really hard turbo session this morning with VO2 max intervals. So I'm hoping that was the last one. I think it is. So I think the training now from now till when we go is we're tapering now for the next 3 weeks, just reducing. Still do like, you know, our taper rides are still 5 hours. So it's not really a taper for me.
No.
That's a big ride for me.
But considering we're going to be like riding 10 to 12 hours, you know, we've still got to keep a little bit of volume up. But the week before we go will be really light. We'll probably only do a 2-hour ride. And but it's just kind of last minute bits now. Today we're sending out some care packages to different places in the world that we can pick up en route, just to give us a bit of...
That's a clever idea.
Yeah, that is.
That's a really clever idea.
Yeah.
What's in those care packages? What, just sort of like bare essentials?
Yeah, I basically got in contact with like bike shops around the world, and a few actual followers that follow us nicely like got in contact and said, oh, we can help you out at this airport or whatever. So I said, oh, well, can I have your address and send some stuff out if that's okay?
Yeah.
We're sending out 4 packages, one for every 4,000 miles, and each one's going to have tyres, a fresh pair of bib shorts, maybe like 2 of them will have a spare jersey.
Yeah.
And then Kendall Mint Cake.
Yeah.
I love that.
Maybe some tea bags in there as well.
I was going to say any sort of home comforts or any luxuries. Yeah.
Chamois butter, little Factor 50 face cream that I use that's really good. What else is I'm going to put in there? Electrolytes as well. So just top ups of stuff like that.
And dare we talk about sort of how you're going to feel at the end? I don't want to sort of jinx anything, but how do you think you're going to feel when it's over?
Weirdly, I keep picturing it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but I never have dreams, do I? But like the last week, I just keep having dreams.
I don't hear the end.
And every time I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I just want to go.
Are they good dreams? Are they successful?
Yeah, so far so good.
Good.
That's good.
No typhoons, no crashes.
No dogs.
No dogs.
I'm envisioning what it's going to be like. So yeah. Well, I feel like the end we're just going to feel ecstatic, but also really tired.
I think it's going to be a mixture. I think because when I finished Tour de France, I remember like I got to the end and it didn't really feel like the end. I was like, I even said it, like we've got a little film of me when I finished, and I was like, oh, am I done? Like I was really like, am I actually done? Like I'm sure, I don't think I'm done yet. And I was like, no, you are. I was like, oh, and it kind of like you feel like happy, but then there's also like a wave of like, oh, I don't want it to be done. Because, it's like nice to be out.
It's the journey. It's the journey as well as the end, isn't it? And I guess if you're doing it together, there's a part of it where, not that it's sad that it comes to an end, but you're experiencing something that's so incredible that most couples will never I'd probably venture no couples will ever experience other than you two. Yeah. So I imagine there'll be a little bit of sadness as well as the elation.
Yeah, but it also depends how much pain we might be. We might not want to touch our for a while.
Don't see as well, like the build-up's been like so long.
Yeah.
So like it's not just the ride that we're going to do; it's like all the build-up.
There's so much planning that goes into it. I was saying to you, we were on a dog walk just before this podcast, and I was like, it's going to feel so weird when we get home that I'm not going to have to plan. Like I don't have to look at my spreadsheet and think, oh, have a thought about this and insurance and visas and all this stuff. So much planning goes into it, and on my spreadsheet, I've got like the weather, the average weather of the different countries we're going through, and you're just constantly thinking about it. Because you want to be as prepared as possible. So it's going to be nice when we get back. I was like, I'm just enjoying, like I'm going to enjoy when we get back, just not thinking, I've got to think about this. Yeah.
She won't. She'll be on to the next.
She'll be about the next challenge. Exactly. You'll be seeing on your Instagram. What's the next challenge? Can I ask, you're doing this obviously as a world record. Are you raising money for the mental health charity as well? Yeah,
we're doing it for Shout Mental Health Charity. So we're hoping to raise £100,000 is our aim.
Yep.
When we did Tour de France, we raised like £93,000. So we think it should be doable. So we're doing it for them, and hopefully we can make a difference to people's lives. I mean, that's why we ride at the end of the day.
And how can our listeners sponsor you?
So we've got a Just Giving link, which is on my Instagram page. We'll keep posting it out while we're riding, and so it's on Just Giving. And also people can actually follow us live while we're riding as well. So we've got a follow my challenge link, so you can see exactly where we are.
We'll put that in our podcast description.
We're going to be setting off and finishing at a cafe. So there's a cafe nearby us where we're going to set off from and finish at. So people are welcome to come and wave us off and cheer us in. It'll be nice if people can be there when we finish, because I think that's what kind of it'd be nice just to not just be there and be like, oh, just us two.
High five, well done.
But my family are all going to be there when we finish, but like we're part of the reason why we do these long rides is obviously because of our own internal desire to put ourselves through pain, but and challenge ourselves, but also it's a lot about inspiring other people. So like I never expected my social media to grow like it has, but I get so many messages from people saying, oh, you've inspired me to do my first ever long ride, or I've done my first one ever 100-mile ride, or I've just signed up for this sportive and you've inspired me to do that. And that just makes me so happy. Like, that is why part of the reason why I do this and why I share it is to hopefully get other people to challenge themselves. And I'm not saying go and ride around the world, because that's just, we're a bit crazy, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, just
I get from the depth, and also from the depths of, I mean, I don't want to be too personal, but from what you suggested was pretty bleak circumstances, to being able to do this and inspire other people must be so heartwarming for you, just outside of the actual challenge that you're doing yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing. That's another reason I started my Instagram in the start, was to help people that struggle with their mental health, to inspire them not to give up. Like, there was a time I didn't want to be here, and now I'm riding around the world. Yeah. Here we are. Yeah. And I wouldn't be here without Kyle either. Like,
I always push up on that, like people supporting people with mental health issues, like his issues as well.
Yeah.
Like, same for them. They have it. So, like, I'm not speaking himself personally, but it's a really tough journey for everyone around that as well. So even though people always think, oh, it's a person that's struggling, that they have it the worst, you've got to think about the whole network and inspire people like that as well.
Yeah, I think
put themselves first, and
I wouldn't be where I am now without Kyle.
It's a team effort, and so we're trying to really embody that, and like you can do stuff together as well. So
I always think like the people that support are like the most important, really. Like, I've people in my family who've struggled, and it's so hard being in a position where no matter what you do, you can't make the person you love better. Like, it's so hard, and like, it's you have to go through that, and that. But I think that's why we're so strong together now, is that we've both been through that, and we want to inspire people that are in the position we've been in to keep going. Like, not just the person that's struggling, but the people around them need to get help and look after themselves as well. It's so important. So we just want to share that message, really, that you can get through the hard times. And now we don't shout at each other because of struggling. We shout at each other because we're on the bike.
Well, it's an incredible story. And I mean, I can't wait to follow you, both of you, because I just pretty inspiring stuff just to listen to the way you speak about each other and the way you're going to support each other. But just the actual challenge itself just sounds epic. So we will be following you on your Instagram. We'll be following you. We'll put it into our podcast description so that any of our listeners can follow you on your Instagram, but also donate. But listen, ultimately, best of luck. We cannot wait to kind of see how you guys get on. And thanks so much for joining us.
Are we tracking you the whole way?
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Kyle and Amy. You can follow them on their incredible adventure. Amy is on Instagram. Handle is amy.cycling.adventures, and Kyle's is the Snacking Cyclist. If you want to follow our podcast, you can do that on Instagram at Where We Ride Podcast. Like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to get in touch with the show, please email whereweride@lovevelo.co.uk. See you next time.